So I have a stunning piece of video to show you. Joe Biden gave a speech, and what he said was, how would it be if the United States were viewed by the rest of the world as interfering with the elections directly of other countries and everybody knew it? You want to hear him say it? Watch. He'll say it.
His credibility worldwide shrinks. Let's get this straight. How would it be if the United States were viewed by the rest of the world as interfering with the elections directly of other countries and everybody knew it? What would it be like if we engaged in activities that he is engaged in? It diminishes the standing of a country that is desperately trying to make sure it maintains its standing as a major world power. And so it's not just what I do, it's what the actions that other countries take, in this case Russia, that are contrary to international norms. It's the price they pay. They are not able to dictate what happens in the world. There are other nations of significant consequence, i.e. the United States of America being one of them.
So, I don't know. Could you imagine there's people out there who voted for Joe Biden and they feel good about themselves because they think they got rid of the big liar. They voted for Joe Biden because they were tired of Trump lying. And then I'm going to play this for you.
His credibility worldwide shrinks. Let's get this straight. How would it be if the United States were viewed by the rest of the world as interfering with the elections directly of other countries?
How would it be? It's how it is, because that's how they view us. However it is right now, that's how it would be, because they do view us that way. Whenever they poll, when the international people are polled on which country you fear the most, it's always the United States. We just set the Middle East on fire. We just interfered in Russia's election when he was in the Senate.
We've quoted this statistic before, and that is in a 54-year period up until the year 2000, so that was after World War II, we interfered in the elections of 81 countries, and it's known. And then also, during that period of time, significant assassinations of 50 that were directed by our CIA that they document. Some they brag about.
So that's 130 countries. 50 we executed their leaders, and 84 we just overthrew them. And that's why people love Ron Paul, because he's going to tell you that truth, and no one else is going to. And that's why people love this show. As flawed as I am and as flawed as Ron Paul is, we'll tell you the truth about that. That's why people love Ron Paul. That's why people love this show. Because we're not going to sit there and pretend that Joe Biden isn't a fucking huge bullshitter. Warmongering oligarch. So I just want to, here's the overthrowing other people's governments. This is the master list. Instances of the United States overthrowing or attempting to overthrow a foreign government since the Second World War. China, Albania, East Germany, Iran, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Syria, Egypt, Indonesia, British Guyana, Iraq, North Iraq in 1963, Northern Vietnam, and that worked. That was successful, by the way. So was the Iranian one in 1953. Cambodia, Laos, Ecuador, the Congo, France, Brazil, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Bolivia, Indonesia, Ghana, Chile, Greece, Costa Rica, Bolivia, Australia in what Australia? I didn't know that. Angola, Zaire, Portugal, Jamaica. I can't even pronounce that country. Seychelles. Seychelles again twice, once in 1779. Chad, Grenada, South Yemen, Suriname, and again another country I never heard of. Fiji, Libya, Nicaragua, Panama, Bulgaria, Albania, Iraq again in 1991. Afghanistan, Somalia, Yugoslavia, Ecuador, Afghanistan, Venezuela, Iraq again in 2003. Haiti, Somalia, Honduras, Libya, Syria, Ukraine, and so that's the master list. The U.S. tried to change other countries' governments 72 times during the Cold War. So when Joe Biden lies like that, well, I guess no one knows because the Washington Post stopped doing the lie tracker that they were doing for Trump. Isn't that amazing? They're not going to track Joe Biden's lies anymore. Isn't that amazing? They're not going to track the president's lies because it's their president, and he's lying in a way that their bosses want them to lie. You don't have to go back far to find a time when we interfered in Russian elections. Rescuing Boris, the inside story of how 4 U.S. advisors used polls, focus groups, negative ads, and all the other techniques of American campaigning to help Boris Yeltsin win. It was the cover of Time magazine. We got Boris Yeltsin elected. There it is, Rescuing Boris. The projection is unmasked, said friend of the show, Justin Jackson. The projection is unmasked. Lee Camp says the CIA has a department for planning regime change operations. There you go. Ron, can you imagine if the United States went around overthrowing elected leaders they didn't like? What?
What would we do?
Could you imagine if the United States committed war crimes around the world?
I can't imagine that.
Could you imagine if the United States committed war crimes against its own people?
It's like, you know how Johnny Cash has that song, I've Been Everywhere, Man? Like, we can have, like, We Interfere Everywhere, Man. And he's like, well, what if we interfered places?
Hey, we interfere everywhere, man. We go to such a little labba-dibba-dabba-dibba-dooba-dab. Can you imagine, Ron, if the United States government was a total corporate coup who abandoned its own people during a pandemic? Can you imagine that? Yeah.
Crazy.
I can imagine that. It happened. Hey, Ron, can you imagine if the United States had a political system completely owned by Wall Street? Can you imagine that?
I can imagine it.
Can you imagine ever having a president who isn't a total train wreck?
That I can't
I
hope I
imagine.
see that someday in my lifetime.
Here's
I hope. I haven't seen it yet.
Comrade Misty Putin's buddy says when you say the quiet part into a microphone on camera. Here it is.
I'll take your questions, and as usual, folks, they gave me a list of the people I'm going to call on. So, Jonathan, Associated Press.
As usual, they gave me a list. They gave me a list of people. This is all orchestrated.
I have a list.
I have
Some
a list.
of you are even going to get a smile. Some of you might get a fist bump.
Maybe a toothy grin. Some of you might get a hair sniff. He said it out loud. He said it. Here it is.
I'll take your questions, and as usual, folks, they gave me a list of the people I'm going to call on. So, Jonathan, Associated Press.
He's like if a hangover was a person.
No kidding.
He's, I have a list here, and I'll,
Jesus Christ. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.